The servant of Yahweh is another theme, and we can see passages in which he is said to bring justice to the nations. I have put my spirit upon him. He will bring forth justice to the nations. In verse 3, he will faithfully bring forth justice. Verse 4, he will not grow faint or be crushed until he has established justice in the earth, and the coastlands wait for his teaching. He will be a light to the nations in chapter 49. In chapter 6, it is too light a thing that you should be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob and to restore the survivors of Israel. I will give you as a light to the nations, that my salvation may reach to the end of the earth. He will be abused as he carries out his task. Verse 6, I gave my back to those who struck me, and my cheeks to those who pulled out the beard. I did not hide my face from insult and spitting. And finally, probably in Christian tradition, very prominent and very famous, he was bruised for our iniquities. Who has believed what we have heard, and to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? For he grew up before him like a young plant, like a root out of dry ground. He had no form or majesty that we should look at him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by others, a man of suffering and acquainted with infirmity. And as one from whom others hide their faces, he was despised, and we held him of no account. Surely he has borne our infirmities and carried our diseases, yet we accounted him stricken, struck down by God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions, crushed for our iniquities. Upon him was the punishment that made us whole, and by his bruises we are healed. Finally, there is the theme of Cyrus as the anointed one. During the 6th century, Persia rises as a power in opposition to Babylon. And Cyrus is the Persian king who was first victorious against the Medes in 550 BCE, and then Lydia in 546 BCE. In 539, he defeated Babylon. And he was kindly disposed to the Judeans, allowing them to return to Jerusalem and rebuild the temple. And he did the same with other peoples he conquered, even contributing to the rebuilding of Babylonian temples, as attested in the Cyrus Cylinder. The Cyrus Cylinder, while it does not mention Judah or Jerusalem, does reflect an attitude that matches what we find at the beginning of the book of Ezra. In the Cyrus Cylinder, which was actually used as part of a building foundation, it was not itself a declaration that was sent out over the Persian kingdom. It does mention sort of the good deeds of Cyrus according to his own claims. And he mentions in this that he collected together all of their people, returned them to their settlements, and the gods of the land of Sumer and Akkad, which Nabonidus, to the fury of the Lord of the gods, had brought into Shuana. At the command of Marduk, the great Lord, I returned them unharmed to their cells in the sanctuaries that make them happy. So this attitude is one of the intent to allow people to return to their own lands. And in this cylinder, um, Cyrus claims to have helped some of the Babylonian sanctuaries. And we see in Ezra 1 that this attitude is reflected. Persia's King Cyrus says, "The Lord, the God of heaven, has given me all the kingdoms of the earth. He has commanded me to build him a house at Jerusalem in Judah. If there are any of you who are from his people, may their God be with them. They may go up to Jerusalem in Judah and build the house of the Lord, the God of Israel. He is the God who is in Jerusalem. And as for all those who remain in the various places where they are living, let the people of those places supply them with silver and gold, with goods and livestock, together with spontaneous gifts for God's house in Jerusalem." So again, we have the following major themes that tie together chapters 40 through 55, and that are somewhat different than what we find in chapters 1 through 39. We have a new exodus, this time from Babylon, the redemption of Jerusalem, creation as the foundation of God's redemption, the servant of Yahweh, this mysterious figure, if you're reading simply from an Old Testament point of view, who brings justice to the nations, light to the nations, who will be abused and who bears the iniquity of the people, and deliverance through Cyrus the Persian, through whom God will act to free his people.